Hey, Pretty Girl Club. This has been a great month because once again, we have now hit a third psychological jackpot. First, we talked about Fanita, then we talked about Ecane, and now we're going to psychoanalyze this entire Nara Smith thing that's going on. For those of you who don't know, Nara Smith is being accused of stealing. Nara Smith is an exotical. I believe she has a mixed race background, and I believe she's also South African. But one pattern I've noticed is that when a lot of unambiguous black women discuss colorism and they discuss suffering from colorism or privilege and stuff like that, anytime a woman discusses light skin privilege, have you ever noticed that she actually begins discussing pretty privilege and social status? So, for example, go on to any of the colorism channels today and then see examples of them discussing people like Nara Smith. What are they going to say about her? They're going to say, oh, she's viewed as desirable. Okay, so that's social status. That's not social justice. Oh, well, she's viewed as pretty. Okay, once again, that's pretty privilege. Being viewed as pretty or getting complimented on your beauty, it's pretty privilege. That's not light skin privilege. Oh, Nara Smith, she has more followers on TikTok. Okay, once again, that's social status. TikTok followers. That has nothing to do with social justice. And so I've noticed this overwhelming pattern where a lot of women are hiding behind colorism as a social climbing tactic. So they're using colorism and their victimhood in order to attain social status, as opposed to just being like me and just being unapologetic and saying, nope, I want social status, I'm going to social climb, and I'm going to level up. But no, I've noticed that a lot of people, they will talk about certain racial issues, texturism, featureism, etc., because they're hoping that people will pity them, and they're hoping that by you pitying them that they can get you to follow them or give them some sort of social status. Because when I saw this Nara Smith thing and I saw the woman talking about it, I mean, it came off as, I'm sorry, but it came off as very pathetic. It came off as you're literally begging for social status. You're begging for TikTok followers. But you know what? I'm not going to judge because I only saw the clip once. So we're going to play some parts of the clip and then we are going to analyze every sentence that Onezwe says.
My friends are going to be against me making this video because they are scared that I will get cancelled if I say anything.
Okay, so she prefaces the video by saying that a lot of her close friends and family did not want her to say anything because they were afraid that she would get canceled. So why is she saying that though? She's saying that because she has friends and family, most likely black women, who think like me and who understand that if you come online basically trying to beg people to follow your TikTok or trying to get people to pity you or give you a pity follow, that is not a good social climbing tool. This type of behavior, kind of begging others to be your representation, begging others to shout you out, getting mad when somebody more privileged and of higher social status doesn't shout you out. This reminds me of the incel red pill men online who try to say that women are classist because we want men with money and then they want sympathy sex from you. Yeah, this whole thing, I can already tell it's about to come off as if she wants sympathy followers. But let's continue.
But if the threat of getting cancelled is held over your head for so long, you do get to a point where you say, well, do it. Cancel me. And because people think that cancelling someone is directly related to their paycheck, they will hold that threat over you. And I want to reassure everybody that my being on here or not being on here does not affect the way that I live or how I maintain my lifestyle and my child's lifestyle.
Okay, so she literally just said that her being on TikTok does not affect how she financially maintains her lifestyle and the lifestyle of her child. So she has just made it clear that this is actually not about money. Okay, so if it's not about money, then what is it about? And by the way, money is still a form of social status anyway, so my point would still stand even if it was about money. But she's coming on here about to expose Nara Smith, and she's prefacing it by saying, I'm scared of getting canceled. My friends and family have all warned me not to do this, and basically I didn't listen to them. Oh, and by the way, I'm not doing this for money. So then why are you doing this? Why is it that you choose to come on here and expose Nara Smith? Like seriously, what is the solution to this? Is it you gaining followers? Because it comes off to me as if this is a sad attempt to social climb and gain followers on TikTok. Let's continue.
We will be fine whether you cancel me or not.
Then she says, we will be fine whether you cancel me or not, almost as if it is like a humble way of flexing, kind of like a humble brag, like we'll be fine whether you cancel me or not. And it's like, wait, I thought you were a small content creator. What do you mean? You're not even big enough to even really be canceled? First of all, cancel culture doesn't even work. So that's her first social mistake. And by the way, take this as a cautionary tale. For all of the people in the Pretty Girl Club, take this woman's experience as a cautionary tale, because we all know that the proper way to social climb and attain social status is not by hiding behind social justice. If you want to be a social climber and you want to be successful at it and attaining that status that you've always wanted, whether it's social media followers, getting clout online, getting into these high level spaces, this is not the way to do it. Because if you hide behind social justice, you're going to come off as disingenuous when you start talking about social status. All of these talking points about colorism, texturism, featureism, appropriating black women or stealing from dark-skinned, unambiguous black women, a lot of these talking points are really more about social status than anything. Okay, so anyone who is extremely concerned about colorism, or they are spending all of their time making all of this content complaining about somebody stealing from them or somebody's more famous than them, all of this is about clout for that person, for the most part. It's about clout, it's about social status, and it's about money. And those things are not bad, but you're better off attaining that clout by literally just being genuine and then attracting an audience that resonates with you. But let's continue.
The video that I made 2 days ago where I was using whey to cook with, I wanted to show you guys my process in the kitchen and how a lot of videos come about and how there are no recipes used. It is me just trying things out and seeing if they work, and that's usually how I cook.
So now she goes into an explanation on how whenever she does her recipes, she just tries things out on her own and then she sees if they work. So do you see how she is trying to kind of make herself look like a higher level chef or make herself look like a higher level cook? Like when I cook, I just try it from scratch basically, and then I just see how it works. And that's fine, but it's like, why is it impossible for Nara Smith to do the same thing? And I've noticed this thing where if you're pretty, a lot of people have a hard time believing that you can be pretty and smart and talented and good at marketing and good at social climbing, which I believe Nara Smith is actually good at all of those things. So on a subconscious level, this woman seems to be saying that, okay, I do my recipes from scratch. And she's saying it in a nice tone. So kudos to her for, not coming at this in an angry way or in a mean way or anything like that. So I don't think she's trying to be mean. I actually think she's being very classy with how she's speaking. But listen to the words that she's actually saying. She's saying that I do my recipes just from scratch and I don't follow a recipe. Okay, but even if Nara Smith does follow recipes, so what? What's bad about that? Recipes are created so that others can follow them. Why are you on TikTok, Onezwa? You're on TikTok so that others can see your recipes and hopefully they make them for themselves. So even if Nara Smith saw your recipe, forgot that she saw it, and made it for herself, I see nothing wrong with that, because the whole point of being an influencer is to do what? It is to influence people. And so you can't make boba tea and then get mad that somebody made boba tea and that they did it better than you. That's really what this is all about, in my opinion. A lot of this is about women who do something or they start something and then somebody else takes it and they do it better, or they're seen as pretty, or, they're seen as desirable, which once again, that's social status. This is not social justice. So it's literally women who feel like they are low status. They have not reached their social status goals for themselves. They're mad that they don't feel like they have as much social status as a woman like Nara Smith. And so then they go on trying to validate themselves, invalidate the woman who has more social status and followers and stuff, and then hiding behind social justice or hiding behind being fair. And that's another cautionary tale, Pretty Girl Club. Never go into life thinking that life is fair. Why play fair in an unfair world? So even if Nara did steal her content, even if she lies, even if she is, maliciously doing all of this, which I don't think she is, but even if she was, who gon' check her? This is a very important lesson that women need to learn, because life is not fair. We live in a capitalistic society. So if you do not have the business acumen to copyright whatever it is that you're doing, and by the way, I don't think you can copyright something as simple as like a TikTok recipe. I don't think you can copyright that. But if you are not skilled enough to copyright something, and then somebody else uses that idea and they execute it better than you, and they get more status and they get more clout off of it than you have no right to be mad, because you should have been smart enough to understand that when it comes to capitalism and economics, that this economy is based off of supply and demand. Now, I don't know what country Nara Smith lives in, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe that this woman is South African. I don't think Nara Smith even lives in South Africa. I believe that she lives here in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. So even if you did copyright this, or if you did like say that this recipe is only your own, does it work on an international level? No. Within the first 2 minutes of her TikTok, I've already got multiple things that I'm thinking about. So she says that this is not about money, and then she goes on to say that her recipes, that she makes them from scratch. I'm not fooled by her feminine, sweet voice. And this is why I say that people, you have to, when you're analyzing these controversies online, don't just look at the person's tone, because Kane, when she was going on her rant, she was talking in a very angry tone, and you saw how people responded. Obviously, if you speak in an angry tone, people are more likely going to get angry at you. And then Oneswe, because she's speaking in a calm, sweet tone, people are not as angry at her. So this is another learning lesson, ladies. If you want to clap back, you can do it in a nice, nasty way, as Oneswa is doing. She's trying to do kind of a nice, nasty way of kind of taking a dig at Nara Smith, and she's hiding behind social justice. She's already coming off like, oh, I'm just this sweet mom. Notice how she subliminally brought up the fact that she has a son. Why did she randomly bring her son into the conversation? Why did she do that? She did that because on a subconscious level, she wants you to be able to relate to her. She wants you to show empathy towards her. She wants you to view her as being this innocent, sweet mother from South Africa who is just trying to go on TikTok. She's not going on TikTok for money. She just has these pure intentions. So recognize this subconscious social climbing tactic that she's using even within her words within the first 2 minutes. And make sure, ladies, that you utilize these social climbing tactics for yourself if needed as well. Let's continue.
A couple of months ago, I opened a TikTok account. It wasn't under my name. It was supposed to be a burner, but a lot of people ended up finding it, and it was just a running joke at that point. And on that burner, I talked about content creators taking ideas from other content creators without giving credit. I did not reference any particular content creator, and I also mentioned a number of times that I understand that I'm not the first person to do anything. I have never claimed.
Okay, so now she is going into the topic of content creators taking ideas and not giving credit to other content creators. Once again, this is yet another social climbing mistake that she's making within 3 minutes. Okay, so we live in a capitalistic society where people are going to do things to make money. People are going to monetize their creative ideas. And guess what? No one owes you anything. So yeah, it's nice when people give credit. Like I try to give credit to content creators on here. By the way, shout out to Exotical Epiphany, who actually did a video on this Nara Smith situation. She is a fantastic content creator. Follow her. But people actually don't owe you anything, Oneswa. They don't owe you credit. They don't have to shout you out. Nobody owes you a shout out. Nobody owes you a feature. Let's say you're a music artist or something like that. Technically, nobody owes you anything. So once again, she is making the mistake of thinking that life is fair or that life is supposed to be fair, while simultaneously trying to come off as, oh, I'm just this nice, sweet South African mom, and I didn't come on here for money. Okay, so then what's the point of bringing all this up? Within 2 minutes, you've literally brought up your son, you brought up content creators copying each other, you brought up that you didn't come on here for money. So what is the point of this TikTok? What do you want from Nara Smith? Oh, what? You want a shout out from Nara Smith so that you can gain TikTok followers? But I thought you just said that you came on here just with genuine reasons and like you don't really care about the money and clout and all of that stuff. So you're doing all of this just so you can try to get a shout out. You're doing all of this just to get Nara Smith's attention. Look at how high of a pedestal she is placing Nara Smith on. So you're making a whole TikTok, you're causing all of this ruckus, and you're literally shouting from the abyss of TikTok, trying to get Nara Smith's attention, begging for Nara to acknowledge you and say that she got her ideas from Onezwa in hopes that you can get some of the breadcrumbs of Nara Smith's followers. So, Pretty Girl Club, this is another social climbing mistake. I say all the time, don't beg others to be your representation. Never beg other people to represent you. Never beg other people to shout you out. Never beg other people to give you positive marketing or corrective promotion. This is what Onezwa is trying to do, actually. She's trying to get corrective promotion by coming out and dragging Nara Smith with a sweet feminine voice. That's literally what she's doing. So this woman does have some social climbing skills, but the mistake that she's making is the same mistake that a lot of unambiguous Black women make, which is hiding behind, Black victimhood, as if their Blackness makes them automatically at the bottom. Like, oh, I'm just this South African content creator who just came on here with genuine reasons. And, I take care of my son outside of this. I have a job and I can financially take care of my son, but I just came on here being a sweet, innocent South African mom who just wants to make boba tea. And now this ruthless capitalist, Nara Smith, this supermodel who has all these followers, she's just going and taking my recipe and gaining all this attention, and she didn't give me credit. Nobody owes you credit. Some people are going to give you credit, some people are not. Like I said, this is capitalism, baby. Nobody has to say, oh, I got my idea from XYZ. No. Did Jeff Bezos, when he created Amazon, did he say, I got the idea from Amazon. I was inspired by so-and-so company at the time. So shout out to them. You guys should go shop at their company. Did Elon Musk say, oh yeah, I learned all of my tech stuff from this other company, this other car company. So part of my idea for Tesla came from Ford, or it came from this. So shout out to them. Instead of buying my Tesla, you guys should go and talk to them. No. Anybody who understands economics and understands wealth building knows that when you start a business, the way that you market your business is to market your business. You prioritize yourself. You prioritize your business. You prioritize what makes you special. You prioritize the special things you have to offer. I don't go into a restaurant and then on the menu, next to every item on the menu, they say, we got this recipe from Paula Deen. We got this recipe here from this other person. Shout out to them. I got to give them credit. Got to give everybody credit. So do you see how she is attempting to use morals and values as a way to manipulate Nara Smith into giving her credit and giving her clout? And it's like, no, everybody doesn't have the same morals as you. And I know that Nara Smith is Mormon supposedly, but even within religions, they don't tell people in those religions, oh, if you create a TikTok, that's not in their Bibles. Oh, if you create a TikTok and you're inspired by somebody else, you are required to give them credit. No, giving credit to somebody is actually somebody going out of their way to be nice to you. Nobody owes you that. That's actually somebody being generous towards you. So a lot of women are so used to viewing themselves at the bottom and so used to being a charity case, and I'm not going to accuse her of this, but a lot of people who are used to being charity cases and getting handouts, they actually will get mad if you don't give them the handout because they've lived their whole life begging for handouts. They've lived their whole life with their handout hoping to receive the breadcrumbs of somebody else's money, somebody else's status, somebody else's TikTok followers, to the point where they think that it's actually common for people to give credit to creators. That's not a common thing on social media in general. I mean, there are some nice people who will do that if they want to, or if they like you, or if they're friends with you. But Nara Smith, before this, she didn't even know you. And even if she did see you pop up on her algorithm and she didn't click on your account or anything, maybe it popped up on the For You page, she still doesn't know you personally. You are not her friend. You're not her business partner. So why do you expect someone who is not your business partner? You're not her employee. She's not your employee. So why are you trying to treat Nara Smith as if she is required to be your marketing tool? She is required to build your business. No, you are in charge of your, and also, wait a minute, you just said a couple of minutes ago, you didn't come on here for money. You didn't come on here for any social status reasons or anything like that. So then what do you want? So what? You're just on here to talk shit about Nara Smith? Because you just said that you didn't come on here for money. So even if Nara Smith shouts you out, let's say that Nara Smith loses her whole TikTok account and then she had shouted you out. You're still not going to get the money that Nara Smith has. Let's say she shouts you out and you gain followers. Let's say you gain followers from this, because I'm sure that Oneswa did probably gain followers from this. Okay, now what? You're not making any extra money from those followers. Now, what are you gaining from those followers? Oh, you're gaining attention? You're gaining social status? Oh, you're gaining views. Okay, so that's what this is about, Oneswa. We're not stupid. Nara Smith is not stupid. She understands that you're doing this because you want views. And the way that you get views is by talking about someone bigger than you and then, creating controversy or creating a beef with that person who's bigger than you. I do this all the time on YouTube and I'm very unapologetic about it. I like to try to be as authentic as possible when I'm social climbing because that helps you to social climb faster. And so, Oneswa, if you want a shout out from Nara Smith or you want credit from Nara Smith, just be honest. Don't come on here saying, oh, well, I'm just an innocent, sweet South African mother. I'm just trying to take care of my son, because we see right through it. But let's continue.
To be the first person to do anything. But what I do is take what is existing and make it mine.
Okay, so within 2 minutes, I already see the hypocrisy jumping out because she just admitted it herself. She takes what is existing and she makes it her own. So just a couple of seconds ago, she said, I come on to TikTok and I just do my recipes from scratch. I don't follow recipes. I just make it up and see what works. And now she's saying she takes something that's existing and she makes it her own. So which one is it, Oneswa? Which one is it? Do you do it from scratch, just from what's inside of your head, or do you take stuff that's existing and you reinvent it? There's nothing wrong with either of those, but if you can take something and reinvent it and make it better and make it your own, and you take an idea and you elevate it. Nara Smith is one of the biggest people that I think of when I think of her elevating something very simple. Nara Smith, when I think of her trad wife stuff and kind of taking a very simple lifestyle and then making it look luxurious and making it look like a flex, basically. And so, to be completely honest, I think Nara Smith is simply better at doing this than Oneswa. And so why is it that you can acknowledge this for yourself, Oneswa? You can acknowledge that, oh, I can take an idea and make it better and make it my own, but then suddenly Nara Smith, she can't do that? So only you get to take ideas and make it better and then, be creative with it. But Nara Smith, she doesn't get to do that. If she does that, she's copying and she needs to credit you. So do you see the hypocrisy already jumping out within 2 minutes? And this is why I say that whenever these people come online and go on these rants, their tone is important, but also people need to listen to the actual words that people are saying, because I'm already hearing the hypocrisy within 2 minutes. Let's continue.
And that is what is different with my content. And a lot of people did end up mentioning a recent video that was made by a certain content creator, which then led to a lot of mean comments, and then videos were made about me, and I was dragged on TikTok where people were talking about how I'm a mean girl, I am a bully, and they started mentioning brands that I'd worked with and how they would feel if they knew that I was a mean girl.
Wait, Oneswa, I thought a couple of minutes ago you just said that you're not on TikTok for money. So now you're talking about brands that you worked with, but I thought that you didn't come on here for money. I thought that TikTok is not a part of your income and that you just are a mom who takes care of your son outside of TikTok. So which one is it? So notice how she started off by saying, oh, I'm just genuine, just coming on here, coming up with ideas out of my head. And then within 2 minutes, she's already contradicting herself saying, oh, actually, but I take ideas from other people and then I reinvent them and then I'm working with brands. Okay, so now I see what you're actually doing. You are also a businesswoman. So first you tried to pretend like you were not an online businesswoman, and now you are actually admitting, without realizing it, you're word vomiting and saying, oh wait, no, but actually I am a businesswoman because I work with brands on TikTok. So even if you're not getting paid for the actual TikTok views, you're getting paid by the brands. Okay, so now I know that there is a potential for you to be jealous of Nara Smith because she is working in the same field as you and could potentially be competing for the same brand deals, but obviously Nara Smith would probably get paid more because she's like famous and everything. Okay, so now I'm starting to view you differently. So you are a very small version of what Nara Smith is. You wish that you were in Nara Smith's position. And I'm not saying she wishes that she was Nara Smith herself, but you want to be in the same social position as Nara Smith, as a businesswoman, as a chef, as a TikTok chef. You want to work with brands. So it started off as, oh, I'm just this innocent, sweet woman. And I'm like, okay, so what do you want? Status? And now you're saying, oh, but I'm also a businesswoman. Okay, so this is about status and money. Money is also a form of status. So now it's making me suspect, okay, are you mad that Nara Smith is wealthy then? Are you mad that she's making money off of this stuff then? Because it's already giving, you're making more money than me and I'm mad. But let's continue.
Now, I found it very weird that they knew who I was talking about without having me even mentioning anybody's name.
Okay, so now she's saying that people knew who she was talking about without her having to mention names. So she's almost implying that, she didn't want to mention Nara Smith's name, but other people were mentioning her name. But it's like, if you genuinely did not want to mention Nara Smith's name, then why are you allowing people, even in your comment section or on TikTok, to mention Nara Smith's name? So do you see what I mean about kind of playing with this fake innocent persona as opposed to just standing 10 toes down and saying, hey, I want to be famous, I want to be seen as pretty, I want to be seen as effortless, I want to be what Nara Smith is. Just admit that you want to be seen as cute and like a good chef or whatever, and just move on. You don't have to do this whole act and try to paint yourself into a victim, because remember, even if you guys look on Chrissy's channel, Chrissy actually talked about Beyonce's marketing strategy, and she talked about how a part of marketing a business and getting a lot of people to purchase it is by having relatability and also being aspirational. So this woman here, she is relatable, but she is not aspirational because nobody aspires to be a victim. Nobody aspires to be a colorism victim. Nobody aspires to be at the bottom. Nobody aspires to be viewed as undesirable. And so this makes for a bad marketing strategy if you're trying to start a business or if you're trying to be some sort of influencer where you want to be seen in a positive light. Anytime that you make yourself into like a victim, you're actually contributing to painting yourself in a negative light, and people don't aspire to be that. And so this is not going to help people to look up to you. I've noticed that a lot of people, they complain, they'll be like, well, nobody notices me, nobody's looking up to me. And it's like, well, yeah, because nobody aspires to be overshadowed by others all the time or being viewed as like undesirable, or nobody follows me, or everybody's stealing from me. And so now I literally have never heard of this girl, Onezwa. I now know Onezwa as the girl who gets stuff stolen from her. And also, if you're that concerned about getting stuff stolen from you, then you need to copyright it. And if you can't copyright it, then guess what? It's a free-for-all. So may the best person win. Supply and demand. This is basic economics. So now I'm starting to question your educational background, and I'm not saying it in a disrespectful way, but I'm saying it like, no, if you are a businesswoman and you want to work with brands and you want to get paid for your creativity, you have to understand how supply and demand works. But let's continue.
Today, the video that I posted on here was different to the video that I posted on TikTok. In the voiceover on TikTok, I mentioned that I would be taking a break from content creation, and I didn't say it on here because I don't think I'll be leaving the space, but I guess whatever happens after these videos will determine if I stay on here or not. And the reason for me taking a break on that platform is that for months now, I have watched a very, very popular content creator use my ideas. And again, I'm not the first person to do anything.
Okay, I had to pause it right there because I'm already hearing too much hypocrisy. So she starts off by saying, oh, I might take a break, I'm not sure if I even want to be on this platform anymore. Those people that act like they're going to leave because they want you to beg them to stay? That's how it's coming off. Like, oh, I know that my content is really good because Nara Smith is stealing it and, she's getting a lot of views from it. So, I might take a break and I might get off of TikTok. I might get off of Instagram and social media. So she starts off by doing that, kind of wanting people to get sad, kind of wanting to evoke emotions in the viewer. She wants the viewer to get sad and be like, oh no, you're my favorite content creator. I don't want you to leave. Stay here. So this is a subconscious way of begging for validation or asking for validation. So like I said, notice how whenever people bring up stuff like this, it's always about social status. So-and-so is more desirable than me. So-and-so has more followers than me. So-and-so works with more brands than me. And then she has the audacity to say, I've seen a very big, famous TikTok creator. Okay, what does her fame have to do with it? Like, seriously, why did you randomly bring up her fame? Because anybody could be copying you, right? I mean, if this is truly an issue with you not wanting to be copied, then there are probably thousands of people that could copy you. But like I said, the whole point of being an influencer, oh my God, let me pull up the definition of the word influencer, because a lot of people, they do not understand that words have meaning. So what is an influencer? An influencer is a person or thing that influences another. In marketing, it's a person with the ability to influence potential buyers of a product or service by promoting or recommending the items on social media. So, Onezwa, you're doing your job. Your job is to influence others. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, but you said you didn't come on here for this to be your job. You didn't come on here for you to make money, so you're just doing it out of the kindness of your heart. Okay, so out of the kindness of your heart, you are influencing others. That's the whole point of being on social media. The point is you want to influence people to do what you do. You want to influence people to use your recipes. That's why you share the recipe to begin with. Unless, of course, you were only sharing the recipes because you simply wanted everybody to bow down and worship your recipes specifically, which is an unrealistic expectation. So that is another psychological issue right there. Unrealistic expectations. So you share a recipe on TikTok because you want others to copy your recipe, and then you get mad when others copy your recipe. If you don't want others to copy you, if you don't want others to be influenced by you, then do not become an influencer. Get off social media. Get off of YouTube, get off TikTok, get off Instagram, because the whole point of influencing is literally so that others can copy you, so others can be like you, so others can use your recipe. So if you're that concerned and you don't want people to use your recipe, then don't share it. And this is how I know that this woman she's showing fake outrage, because her outrage is not about the fact that somebody copied her recipe. Her outrage is at the fact that somebody copied her recipe and was more successful than her. So this goes back to my talking point about how a lot of people, they want you to be successful, just not more successful than them. So Onezwa is upset because, she doesn't care if you have 50 followers and you copy her recipe, or you have 25 followers and you do her boba tea recipe and you don't shout her out or give her credit. No, she only cares and is talking about taking a break and getting off social media, which is most likely a lie. But she talks about that because somebody who has better influence than her, a better aesthetic. And when I say aesthetic, I'm not just talking about physical appearance. I'm really talking about the way that she sets up her videos, or the way that she kind of brands herself. I think of Nara Smith as more than just herself. I think of her as having a whole brand. She was a professional model. She's married to a famous supermodel. She does the whole trad wife thing. She comes on with her hair done and her makeup and nails done and all that stuff, and she makes content. So you're actually upset not at the fact that you're influencing others, because that doesn't make sense. You're upset at the fact that you influenced someone who took your influence and is actually becoming legitimately successful. Onezwa is upset at Nara Smith for the same reason that Chrissy is upset with me. Chrissy is upset with me because she was mad that I, as a former and current subscriber and former member, she's mad that I took her influence and that I decided, you know what, instead of me begging her to be my representation, I'm going to go start my own YouTube channel. And now she's mad that I'm actually becoming successful after being influenced by her. So this is not about Onezwa being mad because she influences others with her boba tea recipes. This is Onezwa being upset because she influenced someone who has more skills than her. She influenced somebody who is able to privilege stack better than her. She influenced somebody who has, she already has some fame. She was already a model. She was already successful in all these other fields. And now she sees that Nara Smith is becoming successful. It almost reminds me of those types of people who get mad at what they could have been. And so now I'm starting to feel like Onezwa feels like she could have been Nara Smith, or she could have been the next Nara Smith, or she could have had just as many followers and just as many brand deals, even though she lied just a few minutes ago saying that she's just a mom that's taking care of her son and she doesn't really need TikTok anyway. And then she goes on to talk about how, I know that all of my ideas, nobody owns any ideas, basically. Everybody is inspired by someone. I didn't start anything. Okay, so if you know that about yourself, then why is it suddenly a bad thing if Nara also takes inspiration and ideas from others and doesn't give credit? Because there's no rule on YouTube that you have to give credit every time you do an idea. That's not a part of the terms of service. And so therefore, legally, you do not have to give credit unless something is maybe copyrighted or something like that. So all of this stuff you're talking about, this is just common courtesy. So people can choose to do it or they can choose not to do it. And who gon' check me? Who gon' check Nara if she never wants to give you credit? You should be glad that she even acknowledged that she didn't have to respond to shit. And so you went on this whole rant, you created this whole thing, and you're saying all these paragraphs all in a desperate cry for Nara Smith's attention, all because you want a shout out from Nara Smith. You're doing all of this because you literally just wanted to get a shout out from Nara Smith in hopes that that shout out would cause some of Nara Smith's followers to become your followers. So this whole entire conversation is about followers.
They have continuously used my ideas to get views. Now, that would be fine, except in South Africa, we don't get paid for views.
And so now she's saying that it would be fine for Nara Smith to copy her content if she lived in South Africa and did not get paid for her views. But because Nara Smith lives in a country where they get paid for views and she lives in a country where they do not get paid for views, now she's upset. So not only are you upset at Nara Smith being better at taking the idea and making it, work for her brand, but you're also upset at Nara's country that she lives in. Okay, but that's not Nara Smith's fault. It's not her fault that you live in South Africa. That has nothing to do with Nara Smith. So why are you trying to bring geopolitics into a conversation about boba tea? This is laughable at this point. This is laughable and sad, all because you want some TikTok followers. Let's continue.
And where she is, they get paid for views. So she has been making money off stealing my content.
So once again, this is fake outrage, because if you truly don't want your content to get stolen, you can copyright that content, or you can, do something legally to protect yourself, to make sure that others don't either use your content. But Nara Smith, she seems to have just drawn inspiration at best. It's not like she is copying and pasting your exact recipe. No, she is just being inspired by it and making money off of it. So you're basically just mad that Nara Smith lives in a country where she's able to become wealthier than you. But let's continue.
Always managed to change the videos just enough so that I cannot say that they are my ideas. And
okay, so now she's saying that Nara Smith changes her videos just enough so that she can't say that these are her ideas. What she's really saying is that I know I have a bullshit argument, and that if you were to watch mine and Nara's videos side by side, that you would not be able to compare them. So she's basically exposing herself right here because she knows that she has an extremely weak argument. Do you see all of these mental gymnastics and manipulation tactics she has gone through just in an attempt to siphon off the breadcrumbs of Nara Smith's social status? She's talking about geopolitics and international relations. She's talking about how in South Africa they don't get paid from TikTok. She started off talking about how she's a mom. She was randomly bringing her South African son into it so that in your subconscious mind you can think of a poor South African boy who's just, in a village somewhere with his mom, and she doesn't get paid from this. And do you see how she is attempting to use geopolitics and her nationality and the pity and the sympathy of Nara Smith's wealthy American followers or her international audience? She's trying to use that in order for her to gain some TikTok followers, for God's sakes, so that she can get brand deals, even though she actually lied in the beginning saying, oh, I didn't come on here for money. Okay, so if you didn't come on here for money, why are you doing brand deals? So she had actually lied, and people are overlooking the fact that she lied within the first few minutes. And she's doing all this just so she can take away some of Nara Smith's audience. When in reality, the way that you succeed in business is to simply create a better product. If you're a better creator than Nara Smith, then be a better creator. It's always the people who are not as good of content creators or not as good with their actual content who want to talk shit about the content of other people. If you're such a good content creator, then create content. Are you a content creator or are you a complainer? I'm confused. I thought that you were making recipes. Where are the recipes? Make 50 different boba tea recipes if you're so creative. Because one thing that I try to do about because I'm a content creator as well, if somebody else is, let's say they're bigger than me and their content is worse than mine, I will prove myself by creating content that is better than that person's, because that's what you do in business. If there's a restaurant across the street that is more popular than your restaurant and the food is not as good, the way that you do it in a marketing and economic sense is you make sure that your actual product is better than the food across the street so that you can get people purchasing, your product if you really care that much about competing with that particular business. And so if you're such an expert and you're such a great chef and you just make up recipes on the spot, which is what she said in the beginning. She said, I don't use recipes, I just do it on my own. And then she exposed herself as a liar a few minutes later by saying that she's inspired by other recipes. But let's just pretend that you make up all these recipes on your own, just out of your mind. Okay, well, since you're so creative, you should have no problem with Nara Smith taking your boba tea recipe because you should be filled with ideas, right? You should be able to know how to make 100 different types of boba tea if you're really that poppin' like that. I mean, and I'm not saying she's not. She could be. There are people out there who are very good. They can make one recipe and make it into 5 different things. That's what I try to do on YouTube. Like, let's say somebody else, there are plenty of content creators out here who make videos on the same topic as me, and I don't necessarily think that they're better content creators, but you know what I will do? Instead of me complaining, oh, so-and-so person got more views on their video, no, I will go back and I'll make 50 different videos on that exact same topic. And then guess what? Eventually the algorithm will start bringing their subscribers to my content. And that's one of the strategies that I use to gain influence as a small creator. I don't go online complaining, oh, well, so-and-so, you guys watched more videos from this other person. This person got more views than me. No, if I want the views that bad, which I do, by the way, then I will simply create more content. And then my views, my monthly views, will average out and be on par with the creators who have more followers. So that's a simple business strategy that would have been much easier for this woman to do rather than all of these lies and manipulation that she is trying to utilize in this video.
When I took a break from content creation recently, she then went and moved on to my YouTube and started using ideas from my YouTube. So I have kept quiet for months at a time, just venting to my boyfriend and to my friends, and they've all told me, just let it go because you are going to be dragged by her mob of followers. And
it's funny how her friends and family all warned her that you should just let this go because you would most likely be dragged. I'm not even a Nara Smith follower. Nara Smith has the exact opposite type of lifestyle of what I promote on this channel, but that doesn't matter to me because I stand 10 toes down with people who are a part of my community who I feel did nothing really substantially wrong. I mean, I think Nara Smith is simply doing her business. And also, even if she did lie, who gonna check her? So what? Like, seriously, people lie all the time. The politician, whoever's the president of South Africa, he's probably lying to you right now. Your friends and family have lied to you. Your boyfriend could be lying to you. Your son, your precious son, he could have lied to you before. So even if Nara Smith is a liar, this is fake outrage because people lie all the time. This is the reality of the world that we live in. We don't live in a utopian society. We don't live in a perfect world. But let's continue.
You will get cancelled. And so I've kept quiet. And
so now it sounds like she is tearing up and about to cry because she talked about how her friends said that she would get canceled. And so she kept quiet out of fear of getting canceled. And it has literally made her get drawn to the point of tears. Okay, so at this point, I can clearly say that this has nothing to do with social justice. It has nothing to do with geopolitics. This is 100% you want social status and followers, and you want your recipe business to grow, and you want your brand to grow, so much so to the point where you have been brought to tears over the anger that you experience seeing someone like Nara Smith being successful working in the field that you want to work in. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to cry about it, then cry. But my rule for myself is if I'm crying over something, this means that I care a hell of a lot about that thing. If I am crying over something, that means that it's my passion. Okay, so instead of crying about Nara Smith being more successful than you while using your recipes, you should actually take this as a sign that you are doing something correct, that you're doing something correctly, and that your recipes are obviously good, your content is obviously good, and you could have just kept creating more content than Nara Smith. I don't know how many pieces of content she creates, but one of the ways to succeed for the Pretty Girl Club watching this, if you're a content creator, one of the main ways to succeed is to simply be consistent. Keep showing up when nobody else shows up. So that way, when that content creator is taking a break or when they're, not online, you are the one that's popping up. So all those people that are looking for boba tea, you know what I would have done? I would have made 100 boba tea videos, or whatever Nara Smith is doing, or, because that's proof of concept. Let's say somebody else is directly copying me and they're becoming successful. That is proof that my business concept concept works. That is proof that my business model works. So I would maximize that and simply create more products than my quote unquote business rival. Like, it's clear that you see Nara Smith as a rival if you are crying about it, or if you're sounding like you're tearing up over staying silent and not coming out and basically talking shit about Nara Smith. And so the proper way to do that is, instead of crying that somebody else's social media business is bigger than yours, you simply get your ass up and you put in the work, because obviously you're passionate about it because you're crying. So guess what? It shouldn't really be a big struggle for you to create the content because you love doing it, right? Because you said that you came on here because you just enjoy doing the recipes and you enjoy doing it. Okay, so if you enjoy doing it, keep doing what you love. And if this is all about social status, which I really believe it is, if this is about social status and followers, there are many different ways that you can gain the same types of followers. But I think that there is a deeper rooted jealousy here because of the tears that are coming out and because of her lies that I've already exposed within the first few minutes. And so it's very clear that this woman is simply jealous of Nara Smith's success using the same recipes as her. You know, she's mad because she's like, hey, why is it that I made a video about this and nobody gave a fuck, but then when Nara Smith made a video about this, everybody gives a fuck? Well, it's because people simply give a fuck about Nara Smith more than you. And that's not a diss, because this is just life, right? I mean, some businesses are bigger than others. Some content creators are bigger than others, and that's totally fine. This doesn't have anything to do with your worth and value as a human being or even as a content creator. Because the thing is that if you want to succeed, for the Pretty Girl Club watching this, if you want to succeed as a content creator, like I said, it's about the consistency. It's about utilizing your own personal special privileges to your advantage, whatever those things may be. And in Nara's case, she actually named a couple of Nara Smith's privileges in this video. She said that Nara Smith lives in the United States where they get paid off of views. Okay, so Nara Smith doesn't have to worry financially as much, and so maybe she doesn't have a full-time job. I don't know if this woman has a job outside of TikTok, but this woman may not have as much time to devote to TikTok as Nara Smith because, you know, she is not wealthy. She said that she works and makes money outside of TikTok so that she can care for her son in South Africa. So this means that you are jealous of Nara's financial privilege, clearly, and you're also jealous of Nara's nationality privilege. That's a phrase that I just made up. So you're jealous of her being in the United States where she can get paid off of TikTok, and also jealous of her financial privilege. So if I'm experiencing jealousy, the way that I would alchemize jealousy is by simply becoming what I am jealous of. And of course, it may be hard to do that, but it's better than sitting online crying. So what I would do is I would get my ass up, move to a country where they pay me on TikTok, especially since you started off the video by saying that you don't need the money from TikTok, right? I mean, if you don't need the money and you have money outside of this and you can take a break and blah, 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 you're good with money, then you should have no problem moving to a country where you feel like it supports your goals. Because I talk about the privilege on this channel, I talk about geographical location privilege and how you can actually utilize your geographical location to your advantage. Nara Smith has done that because she knows, hey, in the United States, you get paid off TikTok views. I'm already a model, I'm already famous, whatever. So let me get paid off of this. So a lot of these women who complain online, these are women that simply do not understand that deep down inside, they want privilege. That's what it is. So this is why I don't give a fuck when people try to say, well, you're colorist, you're classist, you're texturist, you're featurist. Classism, this is something that a lot of dusty black men call black women. They'll be like, you're a classist or you're a gold digger because you want a man with money. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if I'm a classist, that's fine. I don't care if you call me a classist because I'm simply trying to live my best life. And so this woman, she's hiding behind geopolitics. She's hiding behind being South African or, you know, her blackness, essentially, because a lot of we're actually going to do another video probably, or maybe even a mini series just about this situation as well, because people are starting to tie it into colorism and all that stuff. But this woman simply doesn't want to admit that she wants the same privilege that Nara Smith has. This is why I say that anytime somebody tries to shame you, or they say you're being a colorist by acknowledging your privilege, that person is just mad that they don't have that same privilege. And so then they want to try to make it like you're the bad guy because you do have that privilege. Like how this woman is trying to imply that Nara Smith is in the wrong because she happens to be privileged. She doesn't have to apologize for her privilege. She didn't create the society that we live in. She's just living in it. And so she is doing the same thing you're doing, Onezwa. Nara Smith is simply utilizing whatever privileges she has in her life so that she can survive, so that she can provide for her children. I believe she has children as well. So she wants to do the same thing as you. So you can't get mad that somebody else is utilizing their privilege when deep down inside you want that same privilege. Being a TikTok creator and being able to even get paid on TikTok, that's a privilege, Onezwa. So you're seeking after that privilege while trying to lie and pretend like, oh no, I don't care about money, I don't care about this. And then you accidentally let it slip out that you do work with brands. Let's continue.
Recently, I made a boba tea. We all saw it. We all loved it. And I was so very, 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 very proud of that video. I tweeted about it. I was so excited for it. And then a day later, she made a boba video. And you might say it may be a coincidence. That would be fine if it was a coincidence, except it's a coincidence that happens very often. So is it really a coincidence? I am very disheartened. I am very disheartened because she's making thousands of dollars.
Okay, so she just brought up Nara Smith's wealth once again, and then she tries to invoke empathy and sympathy and pity from the viewer by saying, I'm very disheartened, like I'm very discouraged because she makes thousands of dollars. So you're discouraged because Nara Smith makes thousands of dollars. You're mad that Nara Smith is getting her exotical tax. You're mad that Nara Smith is making money. So you're that mad at somebody else's money. So that's called pocket watching. So you know what pocket watching is? That's when somebody who is dusty or leveled down, and I'm not saying that she's dusty because maybe she's not. I don't know. She lied at the beginning. She potentially lied because she said, well, I make money outside of TikTok. She said that in the very beginning. And she said that this is not her main source of income or whatever. So it's like, okay, if you have money and you're satisfied with where you are at financially, you wouldn't be disheartened because Nara Smith makes thousands of dollars. People make thousands of dollars all the time. People make thousands of dollars hurdling cows and working on farms. Why is it that you're suddenly disheartened when Nara Smith makes thousands of dollars? Oh, it's because you want to do the exact same thing. You want the exact same privilege of making thousands of dollars posting boba tea on TikTok. Okay, so just be honest and move on, for God's sakes. Let's continue.
And views, and I am lucky to get a brand collaboration every 3 months. I can count the number of brands I've collaborated with.
Okay, so now she's bringing up brand collaborations once again. So this also proves my point again that oftentimes when people try to pretend like they're talking about social justice, like this woman, it's actually about social status. Because at this point, she has mentioned TikTok views, she's mentioned her recipes, and wanting to get paid off of recipes. And now she's mentioning brand collaborations, even though in the beginning she actually lied and said, well, I didn't come on here for money and blah, blah, blah. If you didn't come on there for money, why are you working with brands? And if you don't need the money from TikTok, why are you working with brands? You don't need the money, right? But now you're suddenly bringing up Nara Smith and you're bringing up how much money does she have? And she has all these brand deals. She has all these followers. Okay, so you care about social status. You want to gain social status and you're attempting to gain that status by invoking sympathy in your viewers and bringing up geopolitics when that has nothing to do with Nara Smith. So subconsciously, you're trying to utilize being underprivileged and being from an underprivileged country in comparison to the United States where they get paid off of TikTok. Per your own words, this is your words. I didn't say this about South Africa. You're talking about South Africans not being paid off of TikTok and Nara Smith getting paid off of it. So you're going through this whole entire mental gymnastics empathy tour, and you're going on a sympathy tour all to gain social status. And that is not how you social climb. It's giving Kelly Rowland. You're going on a whole tour talking about how I'm second best and I'm this and I'm that and she's that and she has more than me, as if you don't have any privileges at all. And you're trying to make it about social justice, or you're trying to pretend like you're saying it innocently when deep down inside you clearly want that social status because you're naming it. I mean, you literally brought up multiple times Nara Smith's brand deals, Nara Smith making thousands of dollars, Nara Smith living in the United States, Nara Smith, everybody's following her, Nara Smith is copying me and everybody's looking at Nara Smith. Okay, so you're comparing yourself to Nara Smith. Let's continue.
Over the last 5 years, and probably two hands, it's literally under 10. And I'm so disheartened and I'm so heartbroken, and I feel like it's not worth it for me anymore. Yes, it has never been about the money.
Okay, so she caught herself mid-sentence again talking about Nara Smith's money and pocket watching Nara Smith. and trying to pretend like she's not viciously pocket watching and low-key jealous of Nara Smith's money and success. And then she tries to clean it up by saying, but it's not about the money. Oh, but I only had 10 brand deals in the past 5 years. And Nara Smith gets thousands of followers, and she lives in a country where they get paid for TikTok views. So she's making thousands more dollars, is what she's implying. But it's not about the money, though. Once again, this is about her wanting social status and wanting the privilege of making money by making boba tea. Because that's absolutely a privilege if you get paid any money whatsoever to make social media content. That is absolutely a privilege. There are plenty of people who would love to do that and who would love to be in Onezwa's position. But she's not focusing on the things that she has. She's only focusing on the things that she does not have and comparing it to Nara Smith, who she believes has more. She believes that Nara Smith is obviously above her socioeconomically and above her in terms of viewers and followers, and she was so scared of getting canceled that she stayed silent, but then it's making her cry, as I just heard in the audio, and she's trying to act like this is not a big deal, and I'm just coming on here just venting casually, as if I'm not trying to go into this subconscious psychological warfare against Nara Smith's brand and attempting to deplatform Nara Smith, or at least siphon off some of her followers. She could have made this so much easier if she would have simply came on and said, hey, even Nara Smith is inspired by me, so hopefully some of Nara Smith's followers follow me. I mean, even that would have been easier than this, but let's continue.
It has never been about the money for me, and I have genuinely enjoyed making content. But imagine if you made something for free and somebody took it and they made thousands of dollars out of it. How would you feel?
Well, you would feel jealous. That's how you would feel. You would feel jealous of the fact that you were doing something for free and others were being able to get paid for doing that same exact thing. So this woman is horrible at social strategy. She's horrendous at economics. She does not understand marketing, economics, or supply and demand, yet she has the audacity to think that she deserves to be on the same level of being a businesswoman as Nara Smith. So she's totally overlooking the fact that she has no economic or marketing skills or social strategy skills whatsoever, as we have been able to point out within the last hour. But she thinks that she deserves to be on the same level of Nara Smith because she made boba tea and Nara Smith made the same boba tea. She is not acknowledging Nara Smith's other skills that she could be bringing to her TikTok. Wasn't Nara Smith a model on her own? So Nara Smith is obviously good at aesthetics because you have to be good at aesthetics in order to be a model, even if it's just taking care of your own hair and skin and body. So Nara Smith has skills with being good at aesthetics, so that is a privilege. She has skills with gaining followers on TikTok, interacting with followers, kind of like making the content, so that's a skill. But this woman, she's overlooking all of Nara Smith's other soft skills that she's bringing to the table, and she is only focusing on the fact that you made boba tea, I made boba tea, you made thousands, I made $0, give me my money, I need some followers, I'm begging for a handout right now, I'm making this social media post as a way to socially beg for handouts. That's literally what she's doing. She's on social media begging for Nara Smith's followers to follow her while simultaneously begging for Nara Smith to give her credit and give her a shout out so that she can gain followers and money and brand deals. Because she just said, I can count on one hand the amount of brand deals I've had in the last 10 years or in the last 5 years. Okay, so you're counting how many brand deals you get and you're also pocket watching Nara Smith. Okay, so you want the breadcrumbs of Nara Smith's success. So instead of doing that, you actually could have given credit to Nara Smith and saying, wow, she has some other skills that I don't have. I need to learn from Nara Smith. That's what I would have been doing. If I were in Onezwa's position, I would have said to myself, okay, what types of skills does Nara Smith have that I do not have? Okay, let me get good at doing my aesthetics on my editing or even with my own body and hair or whatever, because I do think that part of the reason people follow Nara Smith is because she's a model. She's a well-known model. So a lot of women, they aspire to be models. Okay, Onezwa, can you potentially, is that something you've ever been interested in? Are you also good at aesthetics? That is something that I would have been doing, is simply studying and analyzing that person's strengths. And this is a tip for the Pretty Girl Club if you're watching, because this is also something that I do on YouTube all the time. And people, they think that they're going to expose me by saying, oh, well, you studied Chrissy's channel. Damn right I did. I studied all of the positive aspects of all of the other channels that came before me. I meticulously studied them. My requirement for my YouTube channel is that I have to study another YouTuber for at least 40 hours. I have to watch 40 hours of their content before I can make a decision on, what I think of that person's content. And so, yes, that is a part of being a businesswoman. That's a part of economics. That's a part of marketing. It's knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and also taking from the strengths of your enemies. That's called alchemy. That's called transmutation. So instead of looking at Nara Smith as, oh, she's basically just my enemy, she stole from me. No, look at your enemy's strengths and look at Nara Smith's strengths and say, okay, what positive qualities does Nara Smith have that I can utilize for myself? What positive qualities does she have that I can steal for myself? Okay, she's good at aesthetics and like taking care of her body and hair and skin and whatever. Because I've seen like pictures of Nara Smith breaking out, like having a skin breakout and then kind of like healing it or whatever. So she's good at stuff like that as well. She's good at being aspirational, which this woman, Oneswa, is horrible at. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. People are going to think I'm being colorist because I'm disagreeing with a black woman. But I don't care if you call me a colorist. I'm not scared of being called a colorist. I also view this woman as lighter skinned anyway. I just feel like people are using her jealousy to cancel Nara Smith, and so I'm calling out the fake outrage. Oneswa is horrendous at being aspirational. And that is one of the qualities that even Chrissy, who's an unambiguous black woman, says that you need to have if you want to be good at marketing. You want to be relatable, but also aspirational. Oneswa is relatable, but she's not aspirational because she is a victim. She's making herself out like she's on here crying. She's making it like you pity her. And so nobody aspires for crying on social media or, complaining on social media. Nobody aspires to feel like their content has been stolen by a bigger creator and like they don't get credit. Nobody aspires to that. And so that's bad marketing for yourself. And that's also not good for the psyche of the followers who can relate to you. But let's continue.
So, yeah. And probably the most hurtful thing was when I made that video from that burner account was people belittling me and undermining my skills, saying that I cook like their grandmothers and there's nothing new that I make.
Okay, so it sounds like she's already had people kind of psychoanalyzing her and talking about the same thing I'm talking about on here, which is they can see a huge skills gap between her and Nara Smith. So that's something that I noticed without even being an actual follower of Nara Smith. I've actually seen Nara Smith get a lot of coverage by a lot of unambiguous black content creators because one thing that Nara Smith has is she's got the black women empowerment movement covering her. She's got the black women empowerment movement on YouTube following her career. So that's actually a greater problem within the black female spaces online. They're doing commentary on women like Nara Smith. So I, as a person who's not a trad wife or like doesn't really want to do that, I even know who Nara Smith is because black women are making content about Nara Smith. That is an internal issue that you guys have, which is ignoring women like Normani so that you can go and talk shit about Ice Spice, but you don't understand that by talking shit about Ice Spice and making videos about her and stuff, you're actually still contributing to popularizing her. And so Nara Smith, she is not afraid to be polarizing. And you may be thinking, oh, Nara Smith's not controversial. She's very unproblematic. No, technically, Nara Smith is controversial. And the way that you can actually grow a business faster is through controversy and infamy. So for all the Pretty Girl Club watching, what makes Nara Smith controversial is her Mormonism and her trad wife lifestyle. Being a trad wife in and of itself is controversial because the feminist movement and the decentering men movement and stuff like that, that is a thing on YouTube. And so for the women who feel like, oh, I don't want to be male-centered or whatever, they may look at Nara and be like, oh, well, this is controversial. I personally don't think it's controversial because I support women being happy and successful, especially if they are a mixed race exotical like Nara Smith. So if her being a trad wife makes her happy, I stand 10 toes down in support of her. But another controversial thing that Nara Smith uses to her advantage is her Mormonism. Mormonism is very controversial in the African American community because historically they were the people who said that black people were, I think, the children of demons or children of Satan or something like that, and they just changed it about 30 or 40 years ago. So that's another controversial thing about Nara Smith that she is able to gracefully utilize to her advantage. So Oneswa, you could have gracefully utilized controversy to your advantage, but you don't know how to operate with social grace because even though your tone, for the Pretty Girl Club watching, even though Onezwa's tone is good, even though her, she doesn't come on here screaming. She's not doing like a Rashida Strober where she's coming on here screaming and cussing and yelling. She's not doing that. So her tone is good for social climbing. But what's not good is the lies and the manipulation, and you're talking in circles and you're contradicting yourself every 5 seconds. And so people are going to be confused. Your own followers are going to be confused because they're going to be like, wait, so what's the point? Like Onezwa, what's the point? What was the point of Onezwa making this post? What did she want out of it? Followers from Nara Smith? The breadcrumbs of Nara Smith's audience to come follow her? Are you sure you want Nara Smith's audience to follow you? Because, they're probably going to be fans of Nara Smith. And also, here's another thing. I've noticed that some people have this mindset of there can only be one. Why can't both Onezwa and Nara Smith both make boba tea? Why is it that only Onezwa gets to be known for her boba tea, and you get mad if Nara Smith is also known for her boba tea? This is another social climbing mistake that I see a lot of unambiguous Black women making all the time. It's that mindset of there can only be one. And we saw this happen even in this sector of YouTube, where women like Chrissy were like, oh, you guys basically shouldn't subscribe to Exoticals United because she's gaslighting you. And it's like, well, why can't they subscribe to both Chrissy and the Exotical channels? Why is there not room for two? And so that's another social mistake that I see Onezwa making. One of the advantages that we have over here is the abundance mindset. So it's not this pressure of, oh no, there can only be one queen of TikTok recipes and it needs to be Onezwa. It's not that sort of attitude. It's more like, hey, there's room for both of us at the table. There's room for all of us at the table. You're from the United States making content. I'm living in South Africa making content. And so my content can be relatable to the South African women who want boba tea, and Nara Smith's content can be relatable to American women who want boba tea. But another thing that I notice about Nara Smith is that Nara Smith is actually more than just a content creator who cooks. I think of Nara Smith as being a part of the trad wife movement. I think of her as being a model. I think of her as being a celebrity wife. And so I'm thinking of Nara as having more of a crossover audience. She's got an audience that follows her for different reasons. And that's an advantage that I like to use on my channel as well for all of the Pretty Girl Club watching. Something that you can utilize to your advantage is a fluid identity. I talk about this all the time on here. Nara Smith has a fluid identity, and I'm not talking about her racial background, although I do think that's a part of it. I don't know if she talks about race on her channel, but that could be a part of her brand if she wanted it to be. But Nara has a fluid identity in the sense that she's a part of multiple different movements. And so the way that you can do that for the Pretty Girl Club watching is if you have a YouTube channel, you can talk about a variety of topics. That's something that I love to do on here. I do my social commentary on celebrities. I do my level up videos, soft life videos, pretty privilege videos, the psychology of internalized beauty standards, comment foolery exposed. There's a variety of crossover appeal. And, me being a multifaceted person and having a multifaceted brand that I utilize to my advantage. Nara Smith is good at that because I can already think of 2 or 3 things that are a part of her brand. There's the trad wife thing going on. There's the whole marriage and relationship Mormon thing going on. There's her being married to a celebrity going on. There's her being a model. That's already 4 different things. So my question is, what does Onezwa have other than just making boba tea? Because something that can happen when a person has a business or an online brand is they can become too closed in to where it's like, if people aren't in the mood to see a cooking TikTok, then they're just not going to watch your content. So if that's all you're making is talking about, cooking TikToks and you're not making anything else, people may eventually get bored with it, or maybe they want something different. And so I'm not sure what Onezwa talks about. I don't know if it's all about cooking, but she could potentially look at Nara Smith and then think to herself, how can I expand my brand? How can I make it about my cooking, but also about myself? Because when I think about Nara, she talks about cooking and being a wife and stuff like that, but she also had her own thing going outside of that. Like she was already a model herself. And so she was already aspirational. And also a lot of women in the Black community want to look like Nara Smith. And so that's another reason why a lot of Black women are following her. And I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks of me saying that, because I'm just repeating what I hear people saying in the unambiguous community. A lot of women want their hair to look like how Nara Smith's hair looks, or in some cases, even their skin tone and phenotype, or they want their babies to look like Nara Smith. Because one of my sociological theories is that a lot of people want to date us or create us. And so that's another thing that Nara has in terms of her personal identity that actually helps her out. And so, yes, that is absolutely privilege. Who gon' check her? Nobody's going to be able to take away that quote unquote privilege because society exists in the way that it does. And so instead of getting mad and saying, well, she makes all this money, you're actually better off thinking about what privileges you have and learning how to utilize those on your own. But let's continue.
And I loved my grandmother's cooking, and I understand that my content can be very nostalgic, which is what a lot of us love. I love it too. But to undermine the skill that I put in, or the skills that I have, was very hurtful.
Okay, so remember how we talked about how a lot of people who have inferiority complexes, they can dish it out, but they can't take it back? This whole entire video that Oneswa is creating is literally a criticism of Nara Smith. She's talking about South Africa. She's talking about TikTok. She's talking about the people following Nara Smith. So she is literally going on an entire rant critiquing multiple groups of people and Nara Smith. But when people were critiquing her in her comment section and critiquing her brand or critiquing her talking points, then suddenly she can't take it and she's saying, you're undermining me, you're undermining my skills, you're undermining what I bring to the table. And it's like, no, if you're a public figure, people are going to criticize you. So if you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. If you can't take the heat of people criticizing your recipes, if you can't take the heat of people critiquing your appearance, critiquing your looks, critiquing your skin tone, critiquing your blackness, critiquing whatever, or being racist, colorist, featurist, whatever, or trolling you, if you can't handle the trolls, get off social media. Because trolls aren't going anywhere. This is the society we live in. So once again, horrible social climbing skills, non-existent social climbing skills, non-existent introspection, unable to analyze your own strengths and weaknesses. You know what I do, Pretty Girl Club? I love actually keeping up with the critiques of this YouTube channel because it helps me to strengthen and change my talking points if necessary so that I can grow my channel even further, so that I can be even better. So having people critique you actually helps you to improve your skills. And yeah, of course, people are going to be a-holes, but people are going to troll no matter what. So if you don't like people being racist and colorist, definitely don't get on the internet. Don't be an influencer. Get off the internet. Go back to being invisible or, doing whatever you were doing outside of TikTok. Do not get on the internet if you don't want people to be racist or colorist or be mean towards you or undermine your skills. If you cannot handle people criticizing you or criticizing your platform, then you should not have a platform because everybody gets criticized who's in the public eye. Politicians, celebrities, people criticize everything. They'll criticize their looks, they'll criticize their weight, their relationships, their domestic violence, them having bacterial vaginosis, as they did with Ekane. Ekane was called a slave. She was, people say all kinds of racist, mean things. So if you can't handle that, if you can't handle people being racist and colorist against you online or being mean to you online, then get off the internet. Let's continue.
And all because they wanted to dismiss and invalidate my feelings. So
she just revealed that she is doing this whole thing so that she can be accepted and validated for her feelings. Because she said that she was upset because they're dismissing and invalidating her feelings. Okay, so you just accidentally let it slip that you came on here to feel validated. You came on here so people could validate your feelings about Nara Smith. So you can't come on here to validate your negative feelings about Nara Smith and then get mad if some of Nara Smith's community comes to validate their feelings about you. So once again, you can dish it out, but you can't take it back. You get to critique Exoticals. You get to critique Nara Smith. You can say whatever you want about her. You can critique your entire country of South Africa and the TikTok policies. You can critique whoever you want freely, Oneswa. But then Nara Smith's followers, they can't even comment and argue back with you. They can't even say anything in response to you because that's bullying, of course. Let's continue.
And also being likened to somebody who has continuously stolen my ideas is also very heartbreaking. You see the comments in my videos about how I'm South Africa's Nara Smith. How am I a version of her when she is stealing my content?
So now she's insulted that people are saying that she's South Africa's Nara Smith because she's mad that people are complimenting Nara Smith and acknowledging her high level of fame and that they're not acknowledging her basically being the blueprint. This is the whole I'm the blueprint talking point. But once again, let's look up the definition of the word blueprint. A blueprint is a template that others come in and use, and other people will be the ones to get visibility for that blueprint. Other people will take that template and copy it, and sometimes they will even revise it, because I had a whole video just about this recently, about being the blueprint. You can't be the blueprint and then get mad when you're just the blueprint. Okay, so there are some people who start trends, and then there are others who popularize a trend. So which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the one who starts it, or do you want to be the one who popularizes it? Because this woman is mad that she's the one that started this boba tea thing, or, made this boba tea video, and she's mad that Nara Smith is popular for it. Okay, so you're mad at Nara Smith's popularity. You want the same popularity as Nara Smith. So then that means that you don't want to be the blueprint. You want to be the popular one. You want to be the visible one. The blueprint is what's on the piece of paper. The actual building structure, that's what everybody drives past and looks at and says, oh, wow, that's such a pretty building. They don't say who made the blueprint for this building. They say that's a pretty building. So you want to be the one who is popularizing the trends, not so much the one who is just starting it or coming up with the ideas. And Exotical Epiphany talked about this in her video. There are some people who are good at coming up with ideas, and then there are other people who are good at executing those ideas. So which one do you want to be? The ones who are good at coming up with the ideas, these are the blueprints. These are the ones who come up with the creative idea in the first place, and then the ones who execute are the builders. These are the ones who build up. They build the structure. Instead of just having the blueprint, they're actually building it. And by the way, I'm not trying to make it like one's better than the other, but a lot of people don't want to acknowledge the fact that everybody has pros and cons. Nobody's perfect, and that includes Onezwa. This woman needs to admit that she's mad that Nara Smith is popular, and that she is mad that people are complimenting her by comparing her to Nara Smith. If it's that serious, then block the name Nara Smith from being mentioned in your comment section, like if you don't want to be compared to her. But let's continue.
Views will differ on what is stolen content and what is not, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, if this is where my content journey ends, then it's fine, because quite honestly, I'm very heartbroken.
So once again, she's threatening to leave TikTok. She's lying, pretending like she's going to leave TikTok because she wants people to be like, no, stay on TikTok. People do this all the time. They lie and act like they're going to leave, and they're probably not going to. She's probably posting on TikTok right now. She has probably posted on TikTok since after she said this. She's probably happy that she has gained more followers and publicity after this. So she has probably posted after this. So this is a disingenuous comment. Oh, this might be where my journey ends. No, you're saying that because you're hoping that people will have sympathy and that they'll chase you and say, no, come back to TikTok, Onezwa, stay on TikTok. Let's continue.
Sorry. I'm very heartbroken. I'm so heartbroken.
Wow, so now she has reached the point of tears once again. So the first time that she reached the point of tears was when she was talking about how she wanted to come out and talk this shit about Nara Smith, but she was afraid of being canceled, and so she stayed silent and nobody listened to her. That was the first time she broke out into tears, and now she's breaking out into tears again because she's saying, oh, I might leave. She's, in my opinion, she was actually being dishonest. I don't think she was going to actually leave TikTok. But she's saying, I might just leave TikTok. This might just be where my journey ends. And now she's breaking into tears, saying, I'm heartbroken. So you're heartbroken. You're crying. You're literally crying because Nara Smith made some boba tea on TikTok. That's why she's crying, because Nara Smith makes the same content as her and gets paid thousands of dollars and lives in a country where she gets to have money paid for her views. That's why she's crying. She's crying over views, money, and fame. She's crying because Nara Smith has the fame and the views and the life that she wants to live. But she does not admit this whole entire time. She still hasn't admitted that, but she's crying online because of this. So horrible emotional regulation, lack of emotional regulation, a lack of emotional stability due to not being able to look within herself and decide for herself, hey, wait a minute, I want some clout. Not being able to admit to herself, I want some clout. I want some status. I want the notoriety. I want some fame. So fuck it. Let me just go out here and do my business and get my fame. No, because she has gone the good girl route for so long. This is why I say my YouTube channel, this is not a channel for good girls, because this is exactly where the good girl route will lead you. It will lead you into crying on Instagram because Nara Smith is so famous and so pretty and everybody's complimenting Nara Smith and they're saying I'm South Africa's Nara Smith and she made the same boba tea as me and she's in a country where she gets paid more than me and she has all these brand deals and I don't, but I didn't come on here for money though. But now I'm going to cry about it. I'm going to physically cry about it because I'm mad that Nara Smith has all the stuff that I want. These are literally tears of jealousy. These are literally tears of failure. And when I say tears of failure, I'm not saying it to be mean towards her. I'm saying it because I'm trying to help the Pretty Girl Club who's watching and to watch this as a cautionary tale. Remember this, if anything is making you cry, you really care about that thing a lot. You know, if that's your business or if you're passionate about a certain thing, that means that you really have to work on making that succeed. She's literally breaking out into tears over Nara Smith. She's crying over a woman she doesn't even know. That's how deeply she's been analyzing Nara Smith. That's how obsessed she's been with Nara Smith's content. That's how meticulously she's been comparing Nara Smith's videos versus her videos versus Nara Smith's followers versus her followers. See what happens when you have that hyper-competitive mindset that women like Chrissy try to teach on their channels? This is exactly where it will lead you. Because remember, there's always someone taller, better, faster, stronger, skinnier, whatever, prettier. This is exactly where that path will lead you when you have a hyper-competitive mindset and then you want to hide behind social justice. She's literally crying over a woman that she has never met. She's crying over a social media content creator who made a bubble tea TikTok. Let that sink in. So this is why I no longer take a lot of these social justice conversations seriously, because it's not about social justice. It's about social status. This woman is crying because of not having the social status that she wants to have. And instead of simply admitting to herself that she wants social status and then utilizing whatever she can to her advantage, she is crying over a woman she's never met. Let's continue.
I loved making these videos. I really did. And if this is where it ends, then it's fine for me. It's absolutely fine. And yeah, I hope to stay on this platform in your stories and make you guys laugh and cook with you.
Use this as a cautionary tale, Pretty Girl Club, because this is how a lot of women feel when they are deeply envious of your life. And no, I'm not trying to say she's envious because she's black. I'm not trying to say she's envious because of any of that. This woman is actually light-skinned, in my opinion. Or at least in this clip. I have not looked at pictures of her, but she is not, what I would consider to be an unambiguous, dark-skinned, monoracial black woman or anything like that. So no, this is not me trying to say she's jealous because of Nara's phenotype or anything like that. I think that this woman is actually deeply envious of not Nara Smith as a person, but maybe Nara Smith's fame. You know, she brought up the things that she was jealous of, actually. The followers, Nara Smith receiving compliments, remember, because she said she was insulted by people complimenting her and comparing her to Nara Smith when Nara Smith copied her. She was jealous of Nara Smith's nationality, because she said that Nara Smith lives in the United States where she gets all this money. She was jealous of the brand deals because she brought that up. So she's literally crying and bursting out into tears. She's becoming emotionally dysregulated because of a lack of social status. And so once you really begin to listen to some of these women's words, then you will really see what they're actually upset about. This is why anytime someone brings up a privilege conversation and then you start asking them, okay, what privileges? What are you talking about? They will bring up their own desires. Oh, well, she gets to date black men. Okay, well, you want to date black men. So just admit that you wanted to date black men or whatever. You wanted a chocolate black man, and then you're mad because he dated the mixed woman. Or in this case with Oneswa, she brought up Nara Smith's followers. She brought up her being famous. She brought up people undermining her skills and not undermining Nara Smith's skills. So once again, she wants the same praise that Nara Smith gets for her skills. She feels like Nara Smith does not deserve the praise that she gets. This is very similar to what Queen Chama said the other day about Ikane. Notice how Queen Chama, she actually did the same thing. So she was making a colorism video, and then she brought up Ekane's 4 million followers. And it's like, well, wait a minute. What does 4 million TikTok followers have to do with like social justice and like, ending discrimination against unambiguous African Americans? And what does that have to do with each other? And so this is why I say that the colorism, texturism, featureism conversations, or like these conversations about privilege and desirability, and I even see some people who are insane, and they're saying that Nara Smith is appropriating. They're saying that Nara Smith is appropriating this South African woman and like basically profiting off of it. When Nara Smith has black family, and I think that Nara Smith has a South African background herself. And also, I want to get into all of the social justice warriors who are using this story to randomly talk about colorism. This story has nothing to do with colorism. I consider both of these women to be lighter skinned. So what are you talking about? And also, the content creator herself, Onezwa, she never mentioned anything about skin tone or her skin tone or Nara's skin tone or their phenotypes or Nara's biracial. So why is it that black women online are using Onezwa's jealousy to randomly bring up colorism? And it's like, do you see how literally any and everything can be randomly tied into colorism, as if these women wouldn't both benefit from colorism? And I've also noticed a pattern where they're trying to divide us exoticals up based on our skin tones, based on who's biracial, who's monoracial and light skinned, And I would understand why they would do that if this woman would have talked about color or something along those lines, but she didn't. She is simply a woman who's jealous. And also the fact that they are thinking that because she has a lighter skin tone that she can't be jealous, that's another thing. So are you saying that you think that anyone who's lighter, that they are supposed to think they're better or something? So I just feel like people are using this story as an attempt to cancel Nara Smith because they know that Nara Smith hasn't really done or said anything problematic. But what do you ladies think? Are you surprised that this woman's envy and this woman's lack of social status has led her to tears? And does this help you to understand some of the visceral hatred and anger and dragging some of you guys have received in your everyday life? Because there are some people out there who want your life so bad to the point where they burst out into tears. They will make a whole entire campaign on Instagram or TikTok just to try to siphon off some of the breadcrumbs of your followers, just to try to destroy the Exoticals United YouTube channel, just to try to get attention from your boyfriend, from your friends. People do this all the time, and it's all because of not social justice, but social status. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.